individuals that will be speaking to us today could take up almost the entire time of our hours. So I'm going to be somewhat brief and read them because I don't want to leave anything out. Starting with Dr. Hardman. Michael Hardman is the Chief Global Officer and Distinguished Professor here at the University of Utah. He is a past Interim Senior Vice President for Academic Affairs, Dean of the College of Education, Chair of the Department of Special Education, Chair of the Department of Teaching and Learning, and College Association Dean for Research. Dr. Hardman has numerous experiences within education and public policy, including appointment as the Matthew J. Guglielmo Endowed Chair at California State University, Los Angeles, visiting senior scholar at Cambridge University, Senior Education Advisor and Kennedy Fellow, the Joseph P. Kennedy Jr. Foundation, legislative staff for the United States Senate, Governor's Representative to the California Advisory Commission on Special Education, University Coordinator for the Eunice Kennedy Shriver National Center for Community of Caring, President of the Higher Education Consortium for Special Education, and a member of the Board of Directors of several other international organizations. He has directed or consulted on several international projects on school improvements for USAID, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, and UNICEF. So we're fortunate to have him speaking with us today. Also, we have Sabine Klar, if I got it, the pronunciation, Sabine Klar, I apologize, who is the Deputy Chief Global Officer here at the University of Utah and the President of the Association for International Education Administrators. Professional career in international education spans 17 years at several universities in the United States, serving as Senior International Officer and in positions focused on education abroad. She's earned a doctorate degree in higher education leadership with an emphasis on international education from Montana State University in Bozeman, and prior to her doctorate earned a BS and Master's in botany and taught in secondary and outdoor environmental education, which we all know is critical in many international development areas. We also have the opportunity to hear from Emily Edmonston, who is the J1 Program Coordinator for the International Student and Scholar Services. She oversees the J1 Exchange Visitors Program, collaborating with sponsoring university departments, campus offices, and J1 students and scholars. She earned her Master's of Education in Educational Leadership and Policy here at the University of Utah and is current elected chair of the Utah State Board of International Educators. With that, I'm going to end and turn the time over to those who you really want to hear from.
Thank you. You have to do this 3 times as we change back and forth. Yeah, it's just Thank you. Well, good afternoon, everybody. I really appreciate that introduction. It was very unnecessary, but it's always appreciated. And we're very happy to be here this afternoon. Very pleased to be able to have an opportunity to talk about the university's new Office for Global Engagement. Every time I talk to a group, every time we talk to a group, it's just a little bit older than it was the last time we talked, and it's now about 5 months old in terms of its operation. We're going to talk a little bit about its structure, what we do, and why we exist, and actually how the office originated through some of the early work with President Mike Young and the internationalization focus that he had in undergraduate education when he was here as president, and how that evolved into a very extensive campus review looking at global operations on campus. Both from a centralized point of view and from a decentralized point of view. I do want to say that we certainly recognize that the Office for Global Engagement is not the first venture into the university's global footprint. It is actually an opportunity for us to bring together some very, very, very successful programs that are already operating in health sciences and in the main campus and throughout our colleges and departments and research and institute units throughout the campus. Public health has been obviously extremely active in global work, and I see Steve just walked in. Hi, Steve. and continues to work very closely with us. We are going to talk about the university's Asia campus at Songdo, which is within about probably 10 days to 2 weeks of final approval from the Korean government. And we'll be getting to put people on the ground there in March and open that campus in September of 2014. I'll talk a little bit more about that. But this is really what we hope to do is make this very interactive. We want to emphasize that the work that the OGE does is really one of coordination and collaboration and support for what's going on around the campus. We are meeting with all of the colleges. We are meeting with research center directors. We're really, one of the first things that we're attempting to do is get an inventory. This university is a very large university, but it's also very decentralized. And a lot of the work that's going on globally is not getting recognized throughout the campus. And it also means that the work that's going on is maybe not getting the commitment and the support that the central administration, that the university can provide to the global efforts. We're doing an inventory of all of our faculty-led programs, our exchange programs, our learning abroad programs. We just recently heard with our more of an emphasis that we're having on data collection, where we just heard this last fall, we had a 20% increase in students doing study abroad this fall at the U, which means that there's a lot of activity on campus, and it's continuing to grow. So I want to first of all acknowledge all the work that's being done and has been done in global, and then talk a little bit about how the Office for Global Engagement works to support and help coordinate that effort. So this little global.utah.edu, this is one of the things we're very happy about, is that global now doesn't take 6 clicks on the web to get to global on campus. That's about what it took. If you went into the website for you before the office was organized, it took sometimes 5-6 clicks. That's if you could find the global operations that were going on throughout the U. So the history of the office is really the history of the U Global Blueprint, which as I mentioned, started really the first really campus-wide perspectives, not the individual unit perspectives, but the campus-wide perspectives on global came through Mike Young and his push to internationalize undergraduate education, which resulted in the international course requirement in undergraduate education. And then he really wanted to take a look at where the university would go, or should go, where it should target, where our priorities should be globally. And he put together a task force that worked for almost 3 years. And Brian Rivette was involved in a lot of that work with Hiram Chodesh, who became a senior advisor to the Vice President for Academic Affairs. And then when Dave Pershing became president, he continued the work on looking at where we should be going, how we should do this blueprint, what are the kinds of things the university should be doing to support our global work. I moved into the office of the Senior Vice President for Academic Affairs, and that became my responsibility to work with Hiram. And from that, we developed a blueprint. And from there, the president made the decision that this is where we should be going in terms of helping to support all the efforts that are going on on campus in terms of global. I'm not going to read all these. By the way, you're welcome. We'll give you these slides. You don't have to take notes on these, or we'll make them available. I think I've already sent them to Grant. Grant's got them, so if you want them, you're welcome to use any of them any way you see needed or appropriate. So these are some of the major areas that blueprint focuses on. And I'm not going to go through all of them extensively. We're actually going to focus in 2 areas today, 3 areas actually. We're going to talk about learning abroad. We're going to talk about the new International Student and Scholars Services Office, which is formerly the International Center, and the scope of the work it's doing. And we're going to spend some time on the Songdo campus, just taking a look at why we're there and what is the overall purpose of that. So this is just some of the major headings within the blueprint, which we're focusing on. So, and each one of these has a set of activities that we're really looking at to try to really enhance the work that we do globally around the campus, including leveraging resources and looking at critical and universal needs. One of the things the president's interested in is looking at where we should be targeting. Where is it that we have champions? And one thing we know about global work, without a champion, you don't have it. Matter of fact, we have so many champions that we aren't even able to track all the champions that are out there. We have so many faculty engaged globally that when we actually, as we've met with the deans, Some of them have said, as we have talked with them about some of their faculty programs, they've said, oh, I didn't know we had that program. So the scope is very, very big. Establish an infrastructure and a policy framework. So we're working on policies that will facilitate global work. These can be in everything from student policies. Right now we're looking at issues related to what are the incentives for students to do study abroad? What are the disincentives? We found out, for example, that our freshman class, that out-of-state students, if they do learning abroad their first year, their freshman year, they lose opportunity for residency because they leave the state, even though they're leaving on behalf of the University of Utah. So we are really focused now with General Counsel and with the legislature and the regions to figure out how we can change that, because essentially it means our out-of-state students won't participate in learning abroad if they're interested in establishing residency here in the state. And there are a number of those kinds of things going on that both enhance global work, but also make it a challenge. And develop global campuses. Again, we'll talk about the Songdo campus, but there are other campuses that we're looking at around the world. And certainly with global health and the work that's being done, it's not just campuses, it's where we establish a gateway, a footprint. The president is very interested in gateway operations. Songdo will be a gateway operation for Asia. It is not a Korean campus. It's located in Korea, but even the Koreans don't want it to be a Korean campus. It is a U.S. global campus. It's a part of a U.S. initiative in the Songdo International City, but it is not a Korean campus. Africa really is open, and I think, as you know, in public health, a lot of work is going on in Africa in terms of a gateway operation, not only for health sciences, but for all of the university. We integrated curriculum is a big one for us. We're not an academic unit, but we work directly with the academic units. By that I mean a lot of what we're seeing in terms of our student engagement in global is very much focused on kind of like projects or add-ons. It's not part of the overall academic experience. It's integrated into that academic experience. So if a student wants to do learning abroad, sometimes they might just walk down to the learning abroad fair and say, oh, I think I'll do learning abroad in Africa. That looks like a good place to go, or Spain. But there's no connection between their academic program. There's no connection in the curriculum. There's no outcomes that are being looked at, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later in terms of what kinds of outcomes do we want for our students, what kind of outcomes are we getting from these learning abroad programs, and that's true of many other global programs we do as well. So the whole notion of integrating global into the curriculum, as well as establishing identity for global, both in programs, degrees, and courses, but also making sure that it is an integrated part of what we do, and it's a part of who we are, not just what we do. We want to, of course, really support faculty initiatives. We want to figure out ways to best invest in faculty global research and teaching opportunities. Part of the OGE is we now have an office within the OGE for development and external relations, and we are connecting with corporations around the world, with NGOs, and trying to figure out where it is that we should be looking at to resource our work globally. And this is an area that we have not focused on at all. I can't say that. I can say that from the central standpoint we haven't focused on. I'm not saying the units haven't and the individual programs, but the central administration has not really taken a close look at this. We, of course, want to resource student learning abroad opportunities. One of the things that Songdo does for us is give us that gateway opportunity for learning abroad, and we're able to scholarship students who are going to do learning abroad through the Songdo campus, and establish a new Global Fellows and Ambassadors program. Take advantage of some incredible people out there, who are our alumni and who aren't our alumni, who really want to speak on behalf of the University of Utah and want to be a part of our global work. We're finding that, you know, to just give you the Korean example, but we found out in Korea there were 4 major University of Utah alumni clubs. They actually weren't even talking to each other, let alone us, but they were very, very active. And they have been phenomenal in our work in Songdo, and they're already raising money for scholarships for students. Okay, again, learning abroad, which Sabina is going to talk about, connecting student learning abroad to curriculum, financial support, and so on. So this is essentially just kind of the backdrop that led into the development for the Office for Global Engagement. As I said, we're a coordinating body, support body. We look to support the work that's going on in the campus, as well as look for places where we should be expanding as a university, where we can target, where are our best opportunities, and how we champion the work. So a little bit about the office very quickly. It is the first cabinet level office in the history of the university, global office, which means that as the chief global officer and as an office, we report directly to the president. We have direct access to the president. The president is very much engaged. This is not true in many universities. Many universities, you're down 3 or 4 levels in global. Can be anything from a director level to an assistant associate vice president to an associate vice president, or however, but it's very rare, although becoming less rare, for cabinet level positions in global. And this is the first in the U's history. It gives us direct access not only to the president, but to the 2 senior VPs. So they're constantly engaged in global work. It establishes a senior leadership team for global operations and brings together all of the global supports and resources within the university, engages directly with academic units, as I mentioned earlier, and then it integrates our university global programs, policies, and support services into a centralized unit. Again, not to become Big Brother, but basically to be able to take a look at where the university can support the global effort. These are the major programs and services within the Office for Global Engagement, Learning Abroad, and Sabina's will talk about that in just about 1 minute. Our International Student and Scholars Services programs, our Global Internship Program, which is a partnership with Hinckley Institute. So it's no longer just the Hinckley Institute of Politics. It's the Hinckley Institute for us in terms of the global work. So it's now a partnership of Hinckley Institute and the Office for Global Engagement to establish a university-wide global intern program. And Courtney Macbeth is directing that program. And all the individuals I'm talking about are part of the leadership team for OGE. The English Language Institute, which has been basically pretty separate from university operations. It's been education. Interestingly, in our early conversations with Sandy Pershing, who is the Associate Vice President for Continuing Education, she was very interested in how to connect more of the work of the English Language Institute to the main campus. And we began to realize how much we were actually losing in terms of student recruitment for international students who were coming to the Language Institute, but not coming to the University of Utah. I believe it was less than 5% of the students who went to the English Language Institute actually ended up enrolling. And as we understood where they were going to top-ranked universities, Pac-12 universities, but they weren't coming here, but they were using our institute to enhance their English language proficiency. So we're looking at it also as a recruitment tool for us. And they do some really amazing things now. They're really becoming more discipline specific. They're doing specific English language training by disciplines. So they have a business enterprise for students who come in who know they're going to go into business. They work with them on English language terminology related to business, like some of the things that they just would need basically to know as they come in. I mentioned global development and external relations. Sherry Daly directs that operation. And then the University of Utah Asia campus at Songdo. That campus will be under the Office for Global Engagement. It is directly under the Office for Global Engagement, and it's a part of the, now we've established in Korea the University of Utah Asia Campus nonprofit organization. And that organization has a board of directors, and we have a president of the NPO. So we're all, and to do that, we had to change the Utah Money Management Act. Utah did not allow for any type of provision for a university to operate like we're going to operate in Songdo. And we were very surprised that we weren't going to be able to do that, but the legislature was terrific. They made the move that we needed to make. So with that, I'm going to stop and turn some time over to Sabina Klar, who, as was stated earlier, is our Deputy Chief Global Officer, and she's going to talk about learning abroad.
Can everyone hear me okay, or do I need the microphone? Okay.
Sorry.
That's right.
I'd love to help you with that.
Sure. I don't even know how to put this on.
There you go.
Okay. So I'm actually here speaking about learning abroad on behalf of Beth Laux, who's the director of Learning Abroad. And that's why I need a cheat sheet to talk to you, unfortunately. But let's see. How do I... So in terms of learning abroad at the EU, we have about 600 students who studied abroad last year. And to some people, that seems like a large number. But in reality, talking about 32,000 students at this university, we still have a long ways to go to really make that an experience that all students should participate in. So The number of, most of our students who study abroad study in faculty-directed short-term programs, very similar to the global health programs that you run. We have 54 of those in more than 30 countries. So that's a really large number, and that's been the national trend too, that most students who study abroad do go on short-term programs rather than semester or year-long programs, which is certainly has its place, but we're also trying to expand the number of students going out on longer sort of cultural immersion experiences as well. And for that, we do have 57 bilateral exchange agreements. Not all of those are active, but many of our students do participate in exchange programs as well. And we also work with third-party programs or affiliated programs, so students have opportunities through those as well. So if you work with students going on your short-term programs, definitely speak to them about possibly a longer-term experience after they participate in yours. And there are many opportunities for students in health sciences. So in terms of just kind of the national dialogue on health sciences and learning abroad, that's definitely come up to the forefront now. There's a lot of discussion on how to integrate learning abroad into health sciences education. And as the participation has increased, leaders in both fields have recognized that this is really new territory in many ways, just because there are many ramifications for health sciences that don't exist necessarily in other fields. So the things we're discussing with health sciences faculty are ethics, of course. What are the ethical ramifications of these programs? What are the basic standards that we should use to determine this? What activities should students do and actually be engaged in abroad? What is really, what ethically can they do and not do? Patient care, of course, is a big issue. So when criteria and licensing differs, how do we ensure that the patients interacting with learning abroad students receive quality and appropriate care? Sorry, I need some water. In terms of student supervision, how do we supervise students effectively to protect the student, the patient, the community, and the university? In terms of liability, what is the risk we are taking on as we're taking students to communities and having them engage with local communities and patients? And then just the increased demand for international opportunities as well. How do we manage that? What types of programs are best for our students, whether they are short-term or longer-term types of programs, whether they're faculty-led or more independent programs, whether they're internships. They're all different kinds of models out there, of course, for students to study abroad. So right now we have 4 faculty-led programs in public health. And they're in Armenia, Ghana, India, and Peru. There are brochures out on the table right outside the door, so if you'd like to pick them up for your students to spread the word. We also have one exchange program with the University of Tsukuba that's just now in development. We're also expecting to offer a program in China in 2015. The programs are open to both graduate and undergraduate students, and if you have students that are interested in participating, the deadline to apply is February 28th. And again, all the information is out there on the table if you'd like to hand those out to your students. So our faculty-directed programs in public health, the focus of these programs is really on service learning and community-engaged research. All research projects are overseen by U of U faculty and receive IRB approval. And the students have the opportunity to travel with U of U faculty to these locations in June, July, and August. This is really an opportunity for students to really sort of be engaged in public health in a different culture, in the context of a different culture. And then looking to the future with learning abroad, I just wanted to talk a little bit about assessment and what we're doing in learning abroad, that we would really hope that the academic programs will also integrate into their learning outcomes assessment. So we're looking at assessment in a more generalized way for learning abroad specifically. So not necessarily specific to the academic disciplines that we're working with, but what are our goals for learning abroad, in terms of really what students should get out of that experience. And it's sort of a daunting subject because we sort of all agree that these are high impact experiences and that these are experiences that sort of change the lives of students, but we have a really hard time assessing that and really proving that. And so that's what we're trying to focus on. And so our objective has been to determine learning outcomes that are applicable to really all participants, regardless of destination or field of study. And after much consideration, we've identified 4 core learning outcomes that are that really should apply to any learning abroad students. And so those are the 4 core areas. And again, our long-term goal is working with specific academic disciplines to integrate those learning goals into, or outcomes into, all of the disciplines that are focused on global learning, essentially, and integrate study abroad. So in terms of emotional intelligence, and I'll just give a few examples. We look at being open to discovery, developing new strategies for decision-making and problem-solving, using highly developed coping and adaptability skills, and so on. For a diverse worldview, we're looking at gaining a deep comparative knowledge of the world's peoples and problems, exhibit intercultural curiosity in the world as it is, and a deeper understanding at articulating an understanding of what it means to be the other, demonstrating a respect for cultural differences that exist between the cultural values of the student and the local culture, and so on. And a commitment to lifelong learning and civic engagement, actively seeking other international learning opportunities, engaging effectively with different cultures at home, developing foreign language skills further, and so on. So many of these you probably recognize in your own learning outcomes as well. And so I think there's a lot of overlap in that regard. And so our learning abroad staff is looking at conducting a 7-year study and really looking at from the point students are thinking about learning abroad and pre-departure all the way through to 7 years after the program. And so we're kind of developing our own instrument because there are instruments out there, but they don't really sort of pertain to all of the things that we want to look at. They're all different kinds of models, and none of them really seem to work for us. So we're developing a series of surveys that will measure student learning outcomes over this period of time. And we hope to test the instrument over the summer so that it can be implemented in the fall of this year. And currently, the learning abroad staff is kind of working through the challenges of identifying a control group, finding the technology to support this initiative, and then seeking IRB approval. And so the contact in learning abroad, if you are not already working with learning abroad, is Beth Laux, the director of learning abroad, and she is happy to work with you on whether it's outcomes assessment, improving the program that you're already working on, developing new programs, and so on. So she is your contact, and I'm happy to be your contact as well. And I think I'll turn it over to Emily now.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. My name is Emily Edmonston. I'm the J1 Program Coordinator in International Student and Scholar Services. So I'm here just to give a little information about our office, our resources, and what services we provide on campus. Our mission is to support international students and scholars and promote a globally knowledgeable and engaged campus community. I'm going to talk a little bit about who we serve. So as our name states, we serve international students and scholars. This is all international students who may be on F or J visa types. So we work a lot to advise on the visa process, applying to the university, and then when the student arrives, clients and working with different university academic departments to have the best the best opportunities for the students and also just the best academic experience on campus. We do also work with visiting scholars and researchers. That will be the J1 visa type in particular. So assisting with the application for that and also different avenues with government regulations. We also do a lot with faculty and staff at the university, working with students and scholars. So providing any resources, if that has to do with arrival and departure, coursework, but also employment while at the university. This is a little snapshot of our population. We have definitely grown in the 3 years I've been working in the office. So currently we have about 2,900 J or F1 visa types for students, 300 international scholars, and this can be short-term researchers, professors, specialists, and the time frames all differ for that type of visa. And then we have over 80 countries represented each semester. And when we talk about students, this can be non-degree students, this could be matriculated students. It could also be students who are funded by their government, so sponsored students, and also students coming through nonprofits. So definitely varies, a lot of different populations from a lot of different areas and a lot of different academic endeavors. Here's a snapshot of the top 10 sending countries. Just gives a little perspective on populations that we work with. I already spoke a little bit about resources that we provide, but some more specific examples are disseminating information or answering any questions, specifically pertaining to immigration. There's a lot of federal agencies that students have to work with, different regulations that are very specific to their visa type, so we help to work through a lot of those details. That definitely ties into compliance, whether it's to do with travel, opportunities on campus, classes, the amount of credit hours, and things like that. And then we do support university offices to do different types of workshops and information as well. So we like to see ourselves as a resource center. If there's a question or if there's something that we can connect students and scholars and also partners and departments to, we definitely want to assist with that. So a little bit more in specific to some of the examples that I talked about. Immigration, cultural adjustment, navigating the university system. International orientation is a big program that we do at the beginning of every semester. Last fall we had over 800 students start, so those numbers continue to grow, which is exciting. Info sessions have to do with the immigration piece, but also navigating the campus. Again, as a resource and a way for students to come to us if they need more information. And then we do a lot of the fun stuff too, trips, events, planning, a lot of the cultural adjustment piece, and then outreach and advocacy for students, and also on behalf of departments. And then a little more detail here are some sample programs. So talked about orientation. We have an ambassador and an iMentor program where we have a selection process for students on campus that have been here for a while that want to participate in some of that programming to get involved and really engage students on the campus. Friendship Family Program connects students to host families in the area to engage students more in the community and also do outreach in the community about what we do and the services that we provide. Language Exchange Program, International Cafe. Again, 2 more programs. We're trying to connect domestic students with international students and really create some friendships, some networking. I also have listed here Go Global Living and Learning Community as well as International Student Council. So all of these I'm happy to go into more specifics about too, but a lot of programming. And then I have my contact information up there. Also, Shalimar Swain is the Director of International Student and Scholar Services. So you can feel free to talk to her as well or reach out. But I will be here to answer any questions as well, but quick overview of some of the things that we do and offer. Yeah.
Thank you.
All the equipment.
Sit that down and I'll just grab this from you. Thank you. So let me just say a couple of things about international students, some work that we're undertaking through the office, we're leading out on through the Office of Global Engagement. One, as we have visited with deans from around the campus, one of the things that we're hearing consistently from programs and as we visit with the faculty is that there is a significant need for us to do more support for success for our international students and more faculty sensitivity to cultural differences and cultural awareness and cultural differences. And so we're working on a couple of major initiatives right now. One is we're working with undergraduate studies and with linguistics and with our English Language Institute and a variety of faculty, the library, for our freshman students to integrate what it means to be in a research university to their curriculum, what it means to be in a U.S. research university, what you need to know to succeed. So where it's been known in the past around the country as ESL learning, which basically, by the way, around the world has a very negative tone to it, negative connotation, I should say. Our program will be English for academic success. And it'll be a program that will be, we hope to go university-wide. It will begin with our freshman class at Songdo in September 2014, and we hope to pilot it here on the main campus. But it is really focused on that first year, that not just have a class on, gee, let's have a class on how I can succeed in the university. It's integrated throughout the undergraduate general education programs, and it's integrated into the work that they do. The faculty sensitivity, cultural awareness, we are beginning to work on that with the deans in terms of what are the kinds of things we can do. As Emily points out, we have some of those programs already, and some of it's just the faculty aren't aware that they're available. But we also want to provide individualized support to both the students and to the faculty in regard to assisting to assure our international students, whether they be undergraduate or graduate, have support. So I'm going to talk just for a minute, and then we'll open it up for some questions about the U-Asia campus at Songdo Global University, which is located in the Songdo International City, part of the Incheon Free Economic Zone. Which has really been under development for the last 10 years since the Incheon airport opened in Korea. It's a very interesting concept because the campus is actually a very small part of the large enterprise. The Korean government is investing about $50 billion into the Songdo city. It is three major components to it. One is business development. And they've invited, since they really opened their doors in the free economic zone and the free trade aspects between the U.S., Western Europe, and Korea, there are 500 new businesses that have opened up in the Songdo area, and that includes GE is there, IBM is there, Cisco is opening up their Center for Excellence at Songdo. There are a number of businesses, large and small. The UN has moved all of its offices for sustainable development in the Northeast Asian area to Songdo, and they have just built an entire skyscraper for the Green Climate Fund, so that Songdo is now got the Green Climate Fund operating worldwide out of Songdo. So it's a big business zone. The second component is knowledge generation. In a zone like this, they don't want it to be just all strictly business. They want it to be how do we contribute to knowledge generation, not just from a business standpoint, but from a broad community cultural standpoint. So they have moved a satellite operation for their one of their major research universities there. Yonsei University, which is their top research university, has a program which will sit right next door to our campus. And there are 4 other Korean universities that are moving in as well into the Songdo area. And then the global campus is a part of that. And the global campus is a concept to be able to bring a U.S. Western European degree. And actually, in a minute I'll let you know there's also an Eastern European country, Eastern European university that has just signed on from Russia. And that is really intended to be create an international experience for students to be able to get the degree and remain in Asia for at least part of the time. And the third component is recreation and life, and such things as building a mixed-use city, creating a friendly city, creating major recreational opportunities. They've mirrored Central Park, so they have a Central Park in the heart of Songdo, mirrored after New York Central Park, much smaller. And Jack Nicklaus Golf Club is opened up. That carries his name. So they're not, shall we say, they're not messing around. They're putting a lot of money into this, and we have been engaged with the Songdo operations now for 7 years. A number of universities have. Some have dropped out for various reasons. Some have stayed in. George Mason has been the longest to stay in, and we, as I say, we've been negotiating for 7 years. These are the 4 universities that will open the campus. SUNY is already on the ground now in Songdo. So the other thing about what's intriguing about Songdo is this is a campus that is already built. So it has right now it could accommodate 12,000 students, and there are about 150 students there through SUNY because they're trying to move slowly in to get all of the work, what needs to be done in terms of establishing a high quality campus, and that's taking time. But they have built everything. They have built this guest house. They have built the Student Life Center. They have built the gymnasium. They have built all of the classroom operations that can handle up to 10,000 students. Everything is built, and now they're also looking to build for each of the participating universities their own buildings. So we're in the design for the University of Utah building, which is a 10-story building to house our operations at Songdo. We have no infrastructure costs. None of this is coming to us. This is all being done by the Korean government and Gale International. So it's a public-private partnership. So why? Well, first of all, why we're interested is because it gives the opportunity for a world-class international research, teaching, and learning experience in partnership with other highly ranked universities. They will not talk to any university that's not ranked in the top 100. It is a gateway to Asia. One of the things that's most intriguing for us, and which has really kept our interest alive in Songdo, is the notion of Songdo not just preparing students in Asia through the University of Utah and giving them a University of Utah degree, but also using it as a gateway for learning abroad students to be able to go in. And we keep all of the tuition at Songdo. So, the money aspect, the financial aspects of this is the money can't come back to the U.S. except for expenditures, reimbursements for what the main campus does to support the students at Songdo. But the Korean government, the campus itself, doesn't take any of the tuition. We keep it all, which allows us to build the programs. And one of the things we can do is bring students from learning abroad over into the Songdo campus, enroll them there as University of Utah students, and scholarship them and gateway them out into Asia. So right now we have 6 partner universities in China, and working in Thailand and Vietnam, and also in Japan, to establish partner universities for our gateway students, for students to go, but students would know the gateway support is directly in Songdo. So they have on the ground University of Utah support. And by the way, the location of Songdo is such that the furthest away in terms of the major cities is about a 4-hour flight. Nankai University in China, which is a partner university, is a 1-hour flight out of Songdo for us. So it truly gives us that advantage. Again, major Korean government support through the Songdo Global Foundation, and it locates the university in the heart of the Songdo International City, which is now known as an aerotropolis, meaning that it's built up around an airport to be able to support businesses coming into a major area and having direct access right from the airport into this international city. And it's a smart city, high-tech city, and this is just a view of the Songdo. That's Central Park area, and it's about 40% built right now, so they will not finish it until 2020. The campus is, as I said, they've already invested about $50 million into the campus, and by the time we get there, we anticipate that with the 4 universities, there'll be 700 students on the ground in September. It can accommodate 10,000. So our projections maximum will be 2,000 University of Utah students that will be a part of this campus. And we'll have about 200 on the ground, we hope, in September. This is just more shots of this area, the Songdo area. And again, one of the things that we're finding as we move through this campus development is just the strong support we're getting from the state, which we're very pleased about. We took legislators with us on the president's delegation visit to Songdo, and they were more than enthusiastic. They were very much engaged and very supportive of the work that we're doing globally, and we couldn't be more pleased about that. And we're also working with GoEd, and we're working with the WTC in terms of how we're going to connect all of this together. Why students and families are going to be interested in the Asia campus? First of all, you're getting a high quality and very marketable U.S. degree. Students have a true international experience, and it does include 1 year on the main campus. For graduate programs, it's 1+1. 1 year at Songdo, 1 year on the University of Utah campus. For undergraduate programs, it's 3 years at Songdo and their final year here at the U. And we have 4 programs that are starting at Songdo in September. And then research experience from a world-renowned faculty. High admission standards, this is very important in Korea. One of the things we found out right off the top is we had to raise our TOEFL scores. That's the English language proficiency scores. We were down around the 20th percentile in what we were requiring for students to come into the University of Utah, meaning that it was nowhere near the kind of English language proficiency that was needed to really succeed in a university setting. Our cutoff was around 60. They wanted it up to around 90 to 100. And we're at 80 right now, but we're going to be higher at the Songdo campus. We're at 88 for TOEFL proficiency. And we'll also be working on developing English language proficiency as part of the Songdo experience. This same program, the same exact program and degree requirements as the main campus. This is very important to the Koreans, very important to us. There is no difference. All of the appointments for faculty come through the departments here on the main campus. All the control for curriculum is here. There is no control at Songdo for curriculum or faculty appointments. And the degree reads University of Utah. This was very important. The degree cannot read, in the minds of the Korean government, the University of Utah at Songdo degree. It is a University of Utah degree. Anybody looking at that degree will not see the difference. They will not know where the student received their education. And, whoa, I think I skipped one of the, so I do want to emphasize that one of our very first degrees, oh, I know this guy sitting up here. One of our very first, the very first graduate degree to go in will be public health. We're very, very pleased about that. There is an enormous market that we're finding, and the work of Steve and Allison and Courtney and Jaewon have been just amazing in terms of how quickly we've been able to work to get this degree into the Songdo campus. And we'll be admitting our first students. I think we're looking at about 50. Is that the target for September of 2014? They'll spend their first year at Songdo and the remainder of their a year here on campus, and we're looking at ways to structure that so that students can benefit from both those experiences. And I have to say, public health has really got it. They understand how to really integrate the program so that these Songdo students aren't looked at as separate students who just basically would be coming in and be a special program. They're going to be really very much integrated and fused into the work of the main campus. Our first 3 undergraduate degrees to go in will be communication media, psychology, and social work. So the communication media and psychology degrees were selected. Well, first let me back up very quickly and say, how are degrees selected? There can be no, so the universities cannot compete. They cannot compete by having duplicate degrees. So we have to work with each university to determine what degrees we get. So in some sense, we lost out on some degrees we really wanted because we didn't have the interest from the colleges initially, and other universities did. So it really was very much a first come, first serve, and it still continues that way. So we actually chose psychology and communication media first because they were very much committed, but also because they provide a frame for us in the general education undergraduate program. We get faculty who can have dual roles in both gen ed and in psych. That's not the case in graduate. For public health, it was really looking at the marketability of the degree and the ranking of the public health degree. We didn't even have to tell the Korean government about the ranking of the public health degree here. They knew it. So as soon as we brought the possibility of health sciences coming in, they immediately went to the public health program. So it's been a very positive experience, and we hope it will continue that way. And I'll stop there. That's just an aerial view down to the campus itself. So that's all built. That's not a painting that they're looking at. That is the campus. That big structure there is the Performing Arts Center. And then they have a guest house, and they have that's built, 22-story guest house. And there's all kinds of things that we don't have time to talk about today that go along with this campus operation, but and also a number of very, very big challenges when you start something like this. So we have a long way to go, but we're moving through it. And with that, I'm going to stop. And at this point, just open up for some questions about OG, international student scholars, learning abroad, anything you'd like to ask or comment you'd like to make about the operations. Yes?
Great, thanks. Thanks for the information. Really helpful and exciting. I'm just curious, as you move on into development and external relations, is there going to be a close association with our Office of Legal Counsel, or do you think we're going to have in the office, legal expertise or what have you? The reason I raise this is we've been coordinating a program called Global Partners, and so we market or we broker the University of Utah human resources to multinational corporations that have needs in the countries that they operate in. So we've been doing some work with Chevron, and it's very successful in terms of bringing general practice physicians from Indonesia here as visiting scholars, stay 9 months, and proposal went in. We obtain an administrative fee to run the program, kind of a gentleman's agreement, if you will. It works really great. We've been doing it for 3 years and so on. As they are, they enjoy what we do for them, and so they want to do more and more. And so now I have a $300,000 charitable grant sitting there waiting to be utilized, but I can't get our legal counsel to, and their legal counsel to agree on things. And it's just terribly frustrating, not to be able to move forward in that regard.
Yeah, we don't have, so one of the things we really want to be able to do, and we're seeing a lot of it, is the strong connectivity between the health sciences and the main campus. But there are places where there are some significant differences in terms of governance structure, and legal is one. Although there is a crossover, our direct linkage is with general counsel for the main campus, and they also work on the health sciences side. But we're able to work directly with the legal counsel in the park building. They're with us, and so we're doing a lot with them. And whatever we could do to facilitate that, we are happy to do so. And whatever kind of connections we can make, and if you want to give us some of the information related to legal counsel, what's going on, I'm not saying that we'll be able to solve it, but certainly that's part of our role. That's a big part of our role. We also have to be careful we don't cross over into areas that the leadership would say you don't belong there. So we want to be very supportive, and we have great relationships with a variety of different offices, including General Counsel. General Counsel has been the heartbeat of Songdo in terms of all the legal. You can imagine all the legal ramifications that go on in terms of opening up a bank and working with corporations and figuring out how the tuition would be collected, all of that. So they have been phenomenal. Robert Payne is a member of our, Robert Payne and Alice Whitaker are a member of the Songdo leadership team. Whatever we can do to help, we'll be happy to.
Yeah, it's just a charitable grant through development, lawyers there said, looks great, do it. Well, let's let legal counsel take a look at it, and then that's where this,
Whatever we can do to facilitate that, we're happy to do so. Yes?
So for students that want to go from this university over to Songdo, how is that going to work, since they're probably coming over here second year mostly for
right.
Public health students are more elective type classes that we get to kind of pick and choose what we want. So, but if students are wanting to go there, for tuition purposes, are they going to be charged the same tuition there as they would be here?
Good question. So that's a rumor that's going around about the tuition is identical. So if you're an in-state student, you could go to Songdo and enroll at Songdo and pay a cheaper tuition. The answer to that is correct if it's a study abroad program. You cannot, it is not a program. It is not going to allow students to move over into Songdo just to enroll at Songdo as a Songdo student. You have to go and study abroad. So the admissions are for the Songdo campus and for the main campus. And the students, so as we start opening up applications, students will select. They'll see the menu come up. It'll say, I'm interested in the University of Utah campus. I'm interested in the Songdo campus. What if a student wants to transfer between the two campuses? They can do so, but they have to apply. It depends on space. It depends on program. So you can't just move back and forth between the two campuses. You have to be admitted to that campus. So students, so one of the benefits for in-state students study abroad is they will be able to go to Songdo and pay in-state tuition as a study abroad student. We have that agreement in place. So a student wants to go study abroad and enroll at Songdo, they can do so. They can't just say, oh, I think I'm going to go to Songdo this semester and sign up and take courses there. It has to go through our study abroad program. And then we have to, and then they pay the tuition. The tuition will be paid here and is reimbursed back through the Songdo NPO, the nonprofit organization. But we want this back and forth. I think graduate students are going to be a lot easier to be able to do this. Undergraduates, you get locked in and there's 4 years and it's going to be a little bit different structure. Yes?
Are there plans of getting other departments involved in, so you talk about psychology, social work, and so forth. Are there plans, or is that locked in and that's what it's for a while?
No, these are the first 4 programs that we have that we're working with in the Korean Ministry of Education. We are now in negotiations with bioengineering, so we have programs that are locked. In other words, they're programs that the foundation has said the other universities have agreed to, and the 3 programs that are coming in 2015, that is, they're in negotiation to come in. We don't have any, we don't commit, and they're not committed yet until we complete the feasibility study. But it's bioengineering, mathematics, and environmental humanities, which connects to the smart city, the sustainable development connection, urban development. Down the road, we're very interested in looking at other programs coming in, but it really has to be a faculty-driven. One of the things we're learning, if this is not something the faculty want to do, if they don't see this vision as something that really has meaning to them, it doesn't make any sense. So there's no mandate going to come from central administration or from a dean, for that matter, who'll say, you're at Songdo. It's going to really take, we want to go to Songdo, so get ready and go. No. And it's not a for-profit operation. It's really creating access. It's creating access for global work for the faculty, and it's creating an opportunity for students throughout Asia. So one of the things we're really facing is well, so how much money will we make off of this? You won't make money off of this. You'll get there's way, you obviously will be supported, but this is not a for-profit operation. Yes, Brian.
Social work.
Social work is in. I did say social work, undergraduate degree. Yeah, yeah. They'll be our professional degree. Social work is huge in Asia right now, and that is if they understand what social work is. We're finding out that there's different definitions of social work, and we're having to figure out how we're going to market and recruit for that. But social work will be our undergraduate professional degree going in.
And then is the university looking at doing the Songdo type model in other countries?
Well, the president wants to do campuses, looking at regional campuses around the globe. The Songdo model is not a model that we're able to duplicate because of the nature of the support. But the concept of a global campus is, and it's something, yes, we would very much like to be able to do, but there is a support structure, there's a financial structure, there's a cultural structure. Songdo is actually modeled, many of you may be familiar with Dubai and the Emirates work that's been done. It's modeled after that, but that was through also through a foundation. They just set up a similar type foundation, but Korea has really done much more to commit. So, for example, we're guaranteed success for 10 years, essentially. No matter our job is to get the students in there, but they subsidize us for 10 years. As soon as we start in a positive revenue generation, we have to start paying some rent. We have to start paying some for some of the support services, but only a small percentage each year of the money we make because they want us to put it back in. So we're subsidized to the tune of about $17 million to make sure this is successful. Obviously, this is a very unique situation. It speaks to Korean culture. Korea feels very strongly they want to have the Hong Kong of Northeast Asia. To be perfectly blunt, they'll say that too. Hong Kong, Silicon Valley, we want to have that here. but we also want to be the lead on sustainable development in Asia as well. So they're putting a lot of money. That's just 17 million to the U. You got the fifth university that's coming in is St. Petersburg in Russia, and they're bringing in the St. Petersburg Conservatory, so there'll be majors in music. No, excuse me. It's dance and music are coming in from St. Petersburg, which is great for us because we're going to eventually, not right away, because of the nature of curriculum structure in the main campus, we'll be sharing courses with the other universities, particularly at the undergraduate level.
I was just wondering, are there any actions being taken for the colleges and departments at the U that aren't going to be involved in the Songdo campus to be more globally engaged in the future?
Well, that's a part of what we're doing in terms of meeting with the deans to try to work directly with them. I would like to say just having this office in place gives the visibility that's needed to say we want to be able to support. But we don't have the resources to support the colleges. I mean, we can't give money out. We don't have lines or anything like that. What we do have is ways of being able to look at how we can leverage existing resources and where new programs need to be developed and where the central administration should be making those investments. And those really rest with the Senior Vice President for Academic Affairs and the Senior Vice President for Health Sciences. So yes, there's a lot. So it's kind of it's both for us. It's supporting what's going on out there now, because there's a lot going on out there now that people really want to do that it's not resourced adequately, or it doesn't have the commitment from the institution that would allow it to move forward. And there are a lot of colleges that are telling us we'd love to get into global, but we don't even know where to start. And there are a lot of colleges that, matter of fact, the vast majority of the colleges have well, no, I think every college has some engagement in global. And it may be an individual faculty member, or it may be a department or program. But I think your question is a really good one. That's part of what our responsibility is to look at where. And part of the dilemma on the blueprint is, are we going to diffuse the resources in ways that we can support individual colleges, or are we going to target? Should central administration be targeting in areas where we know we can make a difference? I think in health sciences, that's a big issue right now with Senior Vice President Lee. Where do we go? And how do we make a difference? How do we know we're making a difference? All of that is very much a part of the culture now of the university in terms of what is it and is it sustainable? Where is the work going to be that a long run that we're going to be able to say we're there, and that we're there and it's a sustainable work of the University of Utah. We're over time. So we thank you very much. Thanks to Emily and to Sabina. And we hope to hear from you. Thank you. It's great to be here. And thanks again to Public Health. Thanks for the invitation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
I'm Tara Kiso. We're meeting at the Marin. Nice to meet you in person.
Terrific. I'll look forward to our, that's all set up now, right?
Yes, it's all set up for the 27th.
Perfect. And that's just kind of an open discussion.
Yeah, we have some really great international programs, and now you know a little bit more about what you do.
I just need to stick my head out.